Da da da! What's my good cheer? And you guys, if you've never popped into one of my lives before, hi, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside. And I would like to hope maybe a couple people from each one of my crews. I do have 2 live shows that I do each week on this channel. This is an annual Christmas Eve event that I do every single year. I'm just coming back from my sister's place and celebrating Christmas with my family. And it was absolutely amazing. Oh my goodness. It was short, but it was sweet, fast, and oh my goodness, right? Everybody just got exactly what they wanted for the Christmas holidays. So this is a Christmas event that I do every single year on Christmas Eve. I have been doing this for at least 6 or 7 years for sure. And it's not that, you know, we don't have lives. Like I said, I'm just coming back from my sister's place where we get together and celebrate Christmas together. Hello, Kathy. Merry Christmas. And like I said, it was really an amazing evening that we had. And it was a short span, just a couple of hours. I've got my Christmas mug, my Charlie Brown Christmas mug, great big, huge Christmas mug. And isn't that just adorable? My sister Alice bought that for me. And I'm not just going to save it for Christmas, even just on a regular day, it holds the most perfect amount of coffee. I'm so glad that I didn't really have a minute to make a cup of coffee, but I made the minute. It was Christmas. It was Christmas, and I don't say no to myself. It's a tradition in my family that I've grown up with, and it was something that I kept for myself. And we do this with traditions. I was actually talking to a lady going up in the elevator, and she was talking about all these things that she does every year for friends and family. Says, "Oh my goodness, that just sounds so tiring." But she says, "Yes, but it's all about the Christmas traditions, and we all have such different Christmas traditions." I says, "Oh boy," I says, "I'm sure glad I have my few traditions, which are these 3 little ornaments on my tree and going to my sister's for Christmas." And this has been something we've been doing, but it does change. It looks different all the time, because there are different aspects where people are coming in and out of our lives. And, we accommodate the people that are close to us. And sometimes when we get partners, we end up having to choose between 2 families, but we adapt and we conquer in that, right? Owen's here too. Hello, Owen. I was going to say too, I was rushing my nephew out of the apartment. Right? Every time we get together, me and him, we just go right into psychology and philosophy. And we get so involved and we're interested in each other's mindsets because he's very technical, he's very analytical. And I have my own way of being analytical, but it's kind of a messy, kind of human sense of it, I don't want to ever lose that aspect of myself. It's it's something I actually cherish about myself is that, that I could be the person that I strive and want to be, right? And at the same time, just be Cindy, just be myself. But every once in a while, you bump into somebody, and right. And when you have that relatable aspect, it's just like having one little insight that's just enough to get you into a conversation. And that's what happens with me and my nephew. We get into a small conversation and it just turns into something huge and expansive. I actually have, okay, get out of here, Adrian. I've got a live show. I've got a live show to do. one second. Oh, that tastes good. Like I said too, like pretty much just ran into the house and then as I'm getting out the door, he left his baking tray in another vehicle, so he had no treats. And I said, "Wait a minute, you can't go home on Christmas Eve and not have treats." So I threw some treats on a plate so he could run out the door, and then I kicked him out again. Get out of here! I got a live show to do. And then came in. I had my coffee because while I'm talking to him, I knew I was going live right away. So I'm doing the prep in the thumbnails and in the title and right making my cup of coffee, getting settled in. Merry Christmas, everybody. I'm not even doing alcohol. I didn't even make it to the liquor store, you guys, to get myself a little bottle of tequila. Do I seem brokenhearted by it? No, I'm perfectly content with my cup of coffee and my Charlie Brown coffee mug. I love my Charlie Brown coffee mug. I love the color. What a nice color for a wall. Yeah. And I got my stockings sitting next to me here, you guys. And not only that, oh no, what did I draw? I don't want to be breaking stuff. You guys, this is amazing. This is my 6-man pop-up tent that I got for Christmas. Isn't that amazing? Got a new tent, you guys, for Christmas, and it's a pop-up one. I just take it out of the bag, I give it a flip, and it turns into a tent. Then all I have to do, and it's got the directions on the back of the bag. It's got the directions on the back of the bag. All I do, as you can see here, is when I'm ready to put it away, I just turn it into an 8, fold it in half, and it goes right back into the bag. My last tent that I will ever hopefully buy again, that I'll have this right to the very end, and at some point that this will be put away for my nieces and great nieces and stuff when they go out on the road with me, that they can have the camping experience, and then I could stay inside the RV. Dream big, Cindy. Dream big. So yeah, I've got myself, but look at how compact that is. It's not going to take any space up in a vehicle. It's like a pancake. It's not going to take any space up in a vehicle at all. And it's a really nice looking tent too. Actually, I can show you the tent because when my sister said, "What do you want for Christmas?" I told her, she says, "Well, send me a link." So I sent her a link. And then tonight she said, "Don't open it in my living room. And it'll just pop open like a jack-in-a-box, right? And destroy everything." And she's probably right in that. So I haven't taken a look at it in any way, but I remember sending her the link to that. So let's see if I can pull up the picture on I hope everybody is starting their Christmas off good. Here we go, people. Can we see it properly? There's my tent. It's just perfect for me. It looks like could be the camera work. I like that it has windows. I like that it has a little bag for my glasses when I go to sleep at night, so that if I wake up in the middle of the night, I know exactly where my glasses are. I like that. And my phone, right? It says you can see by there, those little things on the bottom. It says it's a 5-man tent. So 5 man, that's a nice big tent, but they all look like they're little burritos all lined up together. And yeah, I really like it. So that's the tent that she bought me for Christmas. And again, it's a pop-up tent. I really love the pop-up tents as long as they pop up. Reason for the new pop-up tent. And so I'm really happy for it. And I'm really happy that it's so compact, and hopefully it is. I'm going to assume that it's really easy for it to pop up and be open because it's just one little flick of my arm, but we'll see. The trick is always in getting the tent back into the bag. So I'll let you guys know next September, right? Unless I get an opportunity to go camping before then, I'll let you guys know in the next trip how it held up. If it was a good one for me. Yeah, I know this past September not having my tent was a little bit of a disappointment, a very big disappointment, but because of my mindset I didn't let it be a disappointment, and it ended up not being, does it make sense, ended up not being a disappointment because I took it on as a challenge. I was in the mix. There was nothing I could do about it. I was looking at ways that I could utilize it with a straight knife and cut it all up and make some kind of shelter out of it. I says, I'm not that desperate. We'll sleep in the car. And I slept in the car, and it was perfectly fine. I was exhausted. I was extremely sore, but I expected those kind of challenges, right? Okay. Yeah, I like my mug. Thank you, Owen. My sister Alice got me that mug. Um Yeah, Kathy, I think that tent is just going to be perfect for me. I'm not going to be on the ground. I have my mattresses, right? So I'm good with that. I'm comfy. But I'm not going to be in a tent, right? When I'm 90 years old, it'd be amazing if I could be in a tent at 90 years old. But innovation's going to take us in different ways. They're already doing things like blow up houseboats. You can have a houseboat. And do you know it's legal to be floating down a river as long as you don't park along the banks or on crown land? You can float down a river and not pay any rent at all or have to get any kind of special licensing. That was pretty cool because they do the blow up houseboats now, right? But they do blow up tents, right? And the pop up tents. I love the pop up tents. But even this pop up tent is a lot different than the pop up tent I had because even though it was a pop up tent, there were still bars and stuff in there. And in order to get that tight form, you had to be very specific. And that's what I didn't like because it was those metal pieces that gave in the end. So the tent was in good shape, the fabric is in good shape, but those metal spring bars, they were not in good shape. And at that point, there's really nothing you can do about the tent, right? The tent is dead, literally. So I needed a new tent, and I'm so grateful to my sister Tracy, who always buys me everything that, she asks for a Christmas list every Christmas, and I always make sure that I get something that's important, something that I need, something that I would really appreciate. And not only that, I do varying things because I don't know where she wants to go budget wise when she's purchasing. And so, not to be a greedy grabber, I put different items there at different prices, but she's very adamant she wants that Christmas list. You give her that Christmas list, otherwise you're going to end up with a toaster. And there are times like right, well, I don't have a toaster now. I just use the broiler of my oven if I want toast. But that's my own idea of trying to stay off the breads and stuff. Because if I had a toaster, I would live on toast. Seriously, I'm not even joking about that. I could live on toast. Budget wise, it would be amazing. But health wise, it wouldn't. Because if I was on the bread, I would be back on the peanut butter too. And it's really hard for me to stay off the peanut butter. Peanut butter is not something I want to give up 100% in my life. But I can't eat peanut butter at what do you call that? Not in a controlled manner, in a sensible manner. Like when I have peanut butter, I can kill a jar of peanut butter in like 2 days. And I'm not joking. That's how much I love peanut butter. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, bedtime snack, peanut butter bananas, peanut butter cookies, peanut butter toast, peanut butter jam sandwiches, peanut butter. I love peanut butter, right? And so these are how I control the things that I eat is that I just eliminate them, right? So I try to eliminate the peanut butter, but I can't stay off that elimination. It just feels too much like punishment. And when the budget is tight, you go, okay, Cindy, get yourself a loaf of bread and a jar of peanut butter, right? You're going on a financial diet, not recognizing that there's a lot of fat in peanut butter. And peanut butter is actually a lectin, is a bean, and it's not really a nut, it's a bean. And it causes inflammation in the body. And I am somebody who is prone, right? And it's because of my bad eating habits that I do eat a lot of processed food. But, I eat a lot of processed food. Number one is, the income, right? It's not like I could go and I was looking at the prices of steaks this year, you guys. Oh my goodness, $34 for steak for one or two little steaks. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness. And I look at another pack and I'm going, 40 something dollars, right? Like, oh wow. Meat is so expensive. Everything is so expensive. Things don't seem to be going down in price. I was kind of optimistic when I heard that Donald Trump had taken the tariffs off the ground beef and the tariffs off the coffee, that I would see a big difference in the pricing of those things. Now I've seen a little bit of a break in the coffee pricing. Amazing, because I am the coffee fan, even though it's another thing that I'm trying to cut down a little bit this year. But I do everything in baby steps, you guys. And eventually, you get to a point where you can just give it up completely, right? It's kind of like going on the patch and slowly eliminating that nicotine until you can't smoke anymore. That's how I did it. The first time I seriously tried to quit smoking, I quit. And I've not had a cigarette since then. It was a miracle because I was a pack and a half a day smoking cigarettes. I didn't start smoking till I was 27 years old, but I didn't quit smoking cigarettes until I think I was maybe 40 years old, maybe pretty close to 40 years old when I quit smoking. And it was just because I couldn't afford it anymore. It was just too expensive to smoke. And if they hadn't jumped those prices, and those intermittent, there was a time when it was like every couple of months the prices were going up, and I just couldn't afford to smoke anymore. And so I quit and I never went back. But because I had known what a gift I had given myself in quitting smoking, I would never go back to smoking because it was so hard. Lots of times I would go to bed at night saying, this is my last cigarette. Get up in the morning. First thing I did is I would have a cigarette, right? Now I don't even think about the cigarette at all, unless somebody walks by me in the wintertime, because in the wintertime when it's really cold and you go outside to have a cigarette, when you come back into a building, it's all over your clothes. And I do recognize that I don't like the smell of cigarette smoke on people's clothing, and it just says, "Oh, Cindy, that's how you used to smell," right? So even if I had money right now to be able to smoke, I wouldn't smoke. It's the same idea with the gambling, right? Even if I was like rich and had lots of money, I would never gamble again because I know that feeling of when I was a gambler, what I had been doing to myself and doing to my life because I was a gambler. Like, there's no way I could ever gamble again either. And it's these experiences, these terrible experiences that we have in the things that aren't good for us, that are meant to make us feel, right, that it's time. And those are the signals. It's time to quit this. And it's when you feel guilt and shame and feel bad, that's the time. Quit, right? But when we don't listen to those feelings and stuff, right, then we don't really learn anything, and we don't really have that capability. It's true. When you're ready to quit, you'll quit. So, right? I just when I said that and I gave a sigh, a little bit of a sigh, I was just kind of thinking, my battle with my weight and my battles with food, and it's a battle my whole family has struggled with our entire lives. My mother and father were not overly overweight in any way, but they were always so worried for us kids because it was something that ran in the family, not just being overweight, but obesity. And when I say obesity, I had an uncle that was 600 pounds. I had another uncle who was 500 pounds. I had a grandmother on my dad's side was 500 pounds. I have a nephew that was a big boy. I have myself at one time that reached 311 pounds. My sister Tracy made it over 250 pounds before she started getting sick and was able to start controlling her weight at a reasonable rate, even though unhealthily losing it. But now she looked really good. I saw her today. She looks so good. She looks like coming back into her healthy and happy state again, right? She seemed a little exhausted tonight, but only because it's Christmas and we know she's been running around baking and buying and shopping and wrapping and stuff, right? So, yeah, okay. So let's come into the comments, see who's here. Kathy's here. Owens. Owen's here. Andrew's here. Hi, people. I hope everybody's enjoying your Christmas. Um, Meal preparation for tomorrow. Oh, like to have turkey dinner? Is that what you're saying, Andrew? Like your brother's coming for dinner or something? Um, yeah, I really enjoyed this Christmas season. I spent a lot of it by myself, but in the celebration of Christmas and the idea of Christmas and the preparation for Christmas, and it was kind of nice, and then still have my regular traditions in place, right? Have my my Christmas stocking, which we're about to go into, to be able to go visit my sister and have the whole family there. I think there are going to be 14 of us. The baby's due tomorrow, and this is going to be our second great grandniece. So they're looking forward to some boys, but we don't pop out boys. We pass on the mitochondria. We have girls. But we did end up with Adrian, my nephew Adrian, and he's absolutely brilliant. And I would love for you guys to meet him at some point. He is a super smarty pants, right? I enjoy my conversations with him, and he's very kind and thoughtful too. But, right, he takes after his Aunt Cindy in his movement forward. But he's doing his own thing. We were actually in that conversation when I said I had to kick him out of my apartment when it was time to do my live show. Well, he was looking at the pages, and he was talking about of a book, and he was talking about innovation and space and crafts and stuff like that. That's where maybe he might have liked to have gone into if he had the opportunity to do it over again, right? And I would just make that inquiry to see where his interests lay, where his missed opportunities, because he's still young, right? So if this is the route that he might have liked to have gone through, if he had made different decisions, it's not too late for him, right? For me, I didn't wake up until well into my 50s to any of these ideas. But I said, like, if I had the opportunity, I would have applied myself in school. I wouldn't have had any friends. I wouldn't have had any enemies, because I would have been so focused on the work in what I had to do. And I would have gone for that dream of probably being a social anthropologist when it came in archaeology, because I'm so in love with culture and with people and with wanting to understand them, and also in that movement forward, because I do love evolution, that I would love to work in that to see where our next move should be as a human race, right? Like, we should always be moving forward, but what directions, what ideas, right? Do we just follow the people with the big ideas and watch what they do and move along with them? Or do we have ideas of our own, that even though we're not the mechanics or the marketers of that maybe we're the idea person, that all we have to do is throw that idea out there and somebody else will catch it. The person with the money will catch it, or the person with the friends will catch it, or the person with the machinery or the technology to make that, right? Movement forward just doesn't mean the physicality of it. It's the human contribution, and that soul partnership that we have with each other, that creates these magnificent pieces of innovation that help us to become the next stage that we're meant to be, right? Every generation is a next stage in evolution, right? We call it the last generation. But in actuality, if you look at it, it's just something from the past that is not relevant in the present, right? If you look at it that way. Okay, you guys, it's time to get into my stocking. My sister Tracy, if you don't know, my sister Tracy started this tradition of giving me and my sister Carolyn stockings for Christmas every year. I don't know if she does a stocking for my sister Alice. My sister Alice is so self-reliant and so self-dependent. Sometimes she get lost as the middle child. It does happen, right? But I think she deserves, maybe next year. She's not getting a stocking. Maybe she needs to get a stocking for next year. But these stockings are expensive. They're not cheapy stockings. So after a few years of getting these stockings, um, me and my younger sister who get the stockings said, well, why don't we do combine and buy stuff for my sister's stocking, Tracy, who gives us a stocking. So we each do a stocking for her. They're not as magnificent as her contributions, but we put love into them, and we try and get her things that she could use and things that she needs, right? And so hopefully she enjoys the stocking that I gave her this year. I don't know what my sister got her for Christmas in her stocking this year, but those are the only things on Christmas morning that she opens up, because we on Christmas Eve we open up all the presents before I do my live show. But the stockings, I do my stocking on Christmas Eve, right? Because on Christmas Day I am flaking out. I am eating the dessert tray that she made for me, my mincemeat tarts, and I am just relaxing and enjoying a quiet, clean house, right? I did 3 loads of laundry today. Okay, you guys. First present. I know what this is. It's a new flannel nightgown. It's a tradition. You know, they're hard to come by now, these flannel nightgowns. But she finds them. She finds them for me, and she buys me these beautiful, and she gets me big tent sizes, right? And yeah, I think this is what I'm gonna wear to bed tonight. Is I'm gonna wear a flannel nightgown. Yeah, I gotta turn the heat off, and I have to open up a window when I go to bed. I don't like the heat on, especially when the heater is over my bed and it blows on me. Oh, I don't like that. So I turn everything on off, and I turn the heat on. Or sorry, I turn everything off, and I open up the window by my bed, and so I can dress a little bit warmer when I go to bed at night. And this flannel would be absolutely beautiful for tonight. Oh my goodness! And I do love the flannel, right? I do love the flannel. Okay, you guys. Box number 1. You guys are going to get bored because you're going to recognize I get a lot of the same things every year. But that's the consistency of stockings, to get the little things you like and the little things that you need. And my sister knows that I love the beef puffs. I don't know if you guys have Dare products in the States. These are just little marshmallow chocolate dip cookies with jam and graham cracker cookie base. And yeah, so Cindy will be cutting back, but it is Christmas, so we'll indulge tomorrow and Boxing Day. I usually give myself Boxing Day, and then I try really hard to get back on the diet. My stopping eating at 8 o'clock at night, probably not tonight, because I haven't gone into my dessert tray yet. And so I need to have a couple of mincemeat tarts, even though I did have mincemeat tart at my sister's place. I might have had 2 mincemeat tarts at my sister. I love mincemeat, you guys. I don't know if anybody else out there likes the mincemeat, but oh my goodness, mincemeat tarts are the absolute best. I got a new toothbrush. A new toothbrush. This is guaranteed in every stocking, is a toothbrush. And where am I putting my pile? Oh, I guess I'm putting my pile there. Okay. Wow, here's a big box of something. Oh, no way. Wow. Wow. Tracy, what did you do? Look what she got me. There are 4 bags of coffee in that box. She got me. It's really kind of funny because I took a quick peek. Everything's wrapped. But when she gave me she says, here's your stocking. Make sure you take it home. And I looked in my bag and I didn't see my shape of my coffee in there. And I was running out of coffee. And, you know, I don't mean to expect coffee in my my stocking every year, but I kind of expected my tin of coffee being in there, and I didn't see it. Oh my goodness. 4 bags of coffee. Oh. I'm drinking coffee. I make good coffee, even if it's not good coffee. I can make a good coffee out of any kind of coffee. But I think I'm going to put that tin of coffee that's almost done. Oh, I should finish the tin, shouldn't I, but it's Christmas. I'm going to have a fresh bag of coffee. Tonight isn't that exciting? Like, that's a lot of money. That's got to be $40 for that coffee. Wow. Thank you, Tracy. Wow, I'm going to have to send her. Wow, I'm going to have to take a picture and send it to her. Oh my goodness, that's so amazing. Let's turn that around. And I'm going to send that to her right now. I just love technology. You know how we can do this now. We didn't have this in the 60s and 70s where we can oh, she'll love that. I just sent my sister a picture of me and the coffee. That's the best stocking stuffer ever. There's nothing else in that bag. Oh my goodness. This is absolutely just spectacular. I'm so pleased. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Incredible. Wow. Okay, here we go. Oh my goodness. I needed shampoo or conditioner? Conditioner. Exactly what I needed. That'll tie me over for about, a jar like that, 4 months maybe. I use a lot of hair conditioner. I've been dyeing my hair every 6 weeks since I was 16 years old. My hair is pretty brittle, but I'm also like David, like David who slayed Goliath. That's how I feel about my hair. It's something from my childhood and an experience that I had that as an adult, because I have choice, that I choose to have long hair. And I have not seen a hairdresser, literally not seen a hairdresser in 20 years. I just cut my own bangs and I dye my hair. My hair just naturally falls out because it's all damaged. But I do use lots of good hair conditioner in my hair. And I'm going to assume that this might be the shampoo. Wow. That coffee is fabulous. Okay. Oh, Melvin's here too. Oh, William's here too. Oh my goodness, you guys. Merry Christmas, everybody. Oh my goodness. Thank you for coming in. Oh my goodness. K-Dog, thank you. Spending Christmas in Afghanistan this year. Oh my goodness. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you. Are you on duty in Afghanistan? Are you on a tour in Afghanistan? Yeah, wow. Awesome. Welcome. Christmas Eve. You get to come and hang out with us as I'm opening up my Christmas stocking. Shampoo and conditioner. You can't go wrong. I am set for a few months in this. Like I said, my sister makes the best Christmas stockings ever. Oh my goodness. Can't go wrong with that, can you? Right? Package of Bic lighters. Lifetime supply lighters. But when I'm camping and stuff, right? If the end of the world comes, everybody have a shoebox full of lighters, right? Because not everybody's going to know how to start a fire with piece of flint. I could do it, right? I could probably make a fire with 2 sticks. I probably could. I just love that survival stuff, right? I'd find a way. Okay. Andrew says, I was once in somebody's apartment to get books for the Red Cross after the resident was in the process of going into assisted living. Decades of smoking. Later, I could even taste the smoke and nicotine. Yeah, that stuff is pretty nasty, but you don't really recognize how nasty it really is until, right, you've had that experience of being a smoker and right, oh, I smell like that. That's, oh, so terrible. I can't imagine that I went on elevators and people would smell that on me. What a terrible, horrible smell. But the thing is, nicotine, that you mentioned, the nicotine, Andrew, that's a terrible thing too. I go to the grocery store and you go to the pharmacy section where they keep all that Nicorette gum, and those shelves are wiped out. I'm telling you, like, wiped out. People are not chewing regular bubble gum. They're not chewing gum. They're chewing nicotine, right? They're addicted to the nicotine and the nicotine gum. That's terrible. That's gum cancer and mouth cancer, and oh, that's terrible. And I can't imagine that kind of an addiction. And it's a serious one, because you guys, if you've never noticed it before, if you're not into the Nicorette gums and stuff, at least go by the counter and take a look at the shelf, because you can always tell, when you go to your favorite, you go to the Heinz ketchup section and you can see what's the most popular brands, because those lines of grocery will be empty, right? So you know what the popular products are. But you take a look at the shelf where the nicotine gets like a good 6 or 9 foot panel, because there's all different kinds of size and flavors, and right, and pricing and generic, and oh yeah, terrible, that nicotine gum. Okay, what do I got here? Oh, wonderful. I only had 1 bar of soap left. See, everything will last me 4 months, right? And my sister, my youngest sister, I didn't pull it out. It's a great big bag. It's like a 3 foot high by, oh no, 4 foot high by 3 foot high Christmas bag. And it is full of cleaning supplies, paper towels, laundry soap, dish soap, scouring pads, wax paper, cellophane, tin foil, paper. Oh, I said paper towels, toilet paper, like all those cleaning supplies. And she does that. She collects it over the course of the year and keeps it in her walk-in closet. So every time she goes to the grocery store, she picks something up, and she gets these huge, massive, expensive Christmas presents done every single year, and she does it in a way that it doesn't hurt her. Like I said, I'm a big believer in baby steps, right? It makes a big process not so big, maybe not so difficult, maybe not so impossible, right? Yeah, big believer. Oh, I still got stuff in this bag, you guys. Oh, I hope this is what I think it is. Yay! We were talking about this on our last live show, weren't we, last week? I got a fruit cake, you guys. You guys know I love fruitcake. I don't have it very often. Number one, fruitcake is really expensive, right? It's always been kind of an expensive uh, dessert to start with. Candied fruit is very expensive. The ingredients that they use for making a fruitcake, very expensive. Fruitcakes last for ages. And I know you guys all know this, but this used to be wedding cake. I remember as a little kid, we get our chore getting ready for people's wedding were to take these fruit cakes. We would cut them down the middle in half, and then we'd cut them in little strips, and then we'd cut those strips in half, right? And then we'd wrap them up in little doilies, folded doilies, and then we put a little ribbon on. And that was wedding cake, right? That's what you would get. Now they have great big 3-tier wedding cakes, but that wasn't the case. It was either fruit cake wrapped up in a doily would be your cake. Also, sometimes they would do the same thing, but they would use matrimonial. Well, like that's why they call it matrimonial cake. Matrimonial cake meaning date square, and that would be considered a wedding cake, right? But life is right. Everybody wants that Kardashian wedding. Okay. Gonna send some good cheer out there. They get to their destination. It's a false alarm, you guys. Get to turn around, go right back to the station. Even though it is middle of winter and it's super cold outside, us Manitobans, we still barbecue. We still turn on the barbecues on the balconies and out in the backyards in the middle of winter. And Christmas Eve is actually kind of a nice day to have a barbecue. And right, you don't have the barbecue outside. I mean, you could if you have fire pits and stuff, right? My sister used to have those awesome parties, winter parties, and build big bonfires out in the backyard, and we just sit on our lawn chairs with our blankets and our winter gear on. Some razors for my hairy legs. I've never ever truly ever had to shave my legs in my entire life. I don't know. I know some people like my sister shave their legs every single day. Otherwise, they get these broom bristles on their legs. But for myself, I will sometimes shave my leg, when summer's coming around and I know I'm going to wear shorts, but nothing ever comes off my legs. I just kind of do it because it's kind of like a spring cleaning, right? But you're doing for summer, getting prepped for summer. Yeah, even the armpits and stuff, I don't really use the razors very much. I do have a hair on my chin. I will use them for that, but yeah, I really love, because otherwise I don't buy these for myself, but they are really nice to have. Okay, there's only a couple more presents in here, you guys. But I tell you, that coffee is so amazing. Oh my goodness. Poor Faye. She got me there, right? I wasn't expecting to get coffee this year. I didn't see my coffee tin at all. Okay, we've got two of them here. Let's do this one first. Not a stocking without my toothpaste. And I tell you, I didn't buy any toothpaste. I need toothpaste. Like I got, right, I'm managing out of this scrappy little empty tube that I have. But I knew I was going to get a fresh tube of toothpaste. So now tonight when I put my stuff away, right, make myself a cup of coffee and, right, put all my Christmas stuff away, that yeah, it'll be kind of nice to throw my, oh, she didn't. Oh, I needed these, you guys. Oh, she got me my 1-a-day gummy vitamins, and she didn't get me the cheapy. Well, mine weren't cheapy either, but wow, these are awesome because I think I was down to 2 weeks worth of vitamins, and now I've got. She knows I like my vitamins. I had to say to her, no D3s and no uh, D3s or B12s because I had to get rid of the ones that I had because they became expired. I don't mind going a little bit past the expiry date when it comes to vitamins, but because I had fresh bottles, I opened up fresh bottle of B12s and a fresh bottle of my vitamin C's, and I told her not to buy me those ones or the D3s, and I said don't buy me any more of those ones. But I said, multivitamin. And I didn't think she would because they are not inexpensive, right? But they really are really good to have. I've been doing vitamins my entire life, and it's really nice that that I always have my concoctions of vitamins. I switch them up, I feel myself up and because feel myself out because I know what the vitamins do for me and do to me because just as much as they help you out. If you take too much magnesium, you're going to have the runs. You take too much vitamin C, you're going to have the runs. You don't take enough vitamin C, you're going to have heartburn, right? You don't take B12, you're going to be cranky. So you feel yourself out and then you adjust your vitamins and you just do little runs. You just do for a couple of weeks. Now there are some that you do consistently because they say that 80% of us are deficient in magnesium, right? It's not something that the body produces naturally. So, taking supplements of magnesium is a good thing. And again, if you can't overdo it on the magnesium, your body uses a lot of it. Will probably use everything that you take if you take a couple every day. But if it doesn't need it, you'll just get rid of it out of your natural ways of getting rid of byproducts, right? And it doesn't affect you in any way. But there are vitamins, if you take too much, that it can cause some issues. So you watch things so that you get to feel your body out, and then you get to time to switch this out. And Cindy, you're a little bit sad because I found since I lost my cat, I've been extremely emotional, just kind of every once in a while you have a moment, and then right away you pull yourself out of the moment. But these aren't moments I've had for a very long time. So I know that I miss her, right? So when you have those moments, then you go, oh my goodness, Cindy, you need your B12s. And so for the past couple of weeks, I've been back on the B12s and I've switched it out and I'm taking the vitamin C's because, now we're not getting as much sun, right? We're staying indoors. The price of fruits and vegetables are going skyrocketing. So we can't let our bodies suffer because you can't afford to buy oranges and apples. So make sure you take your vitamins and minerals so that at least you're getting the nutrients properly, right? And this is the way I think, and this is the way that I was brought up. And because of the life I've led, that I really don't have much choice but to see the evidence in my life that vitamins and minerals do work, right? How they work, I do my own right formulas and I switch them out the way that I feel myself out for. But lots of people would have to do vitamin minerals under a doctor's direction. But right, because I do so much Googling and research and stuff, I don't just say, oh, right. There are times that I try things. I've got a couple here that I did try, like this alpha acid, alpha lipoic, and it helps you metabolize sugars, right? I could never get diabetes because, I had a stomach stapling and it bypasses the duodenum. So I don't process sugar. I just get rid of it out of my body naturally. But it's still in your body. So you can still become very right? Bacteria love sugar. So if that sugar is still in your system, it's just not processed. So I thought this would help a bit. I only tried them for about a week, and then I gave up on it, and then I found them in the drawer, and I gave it another week. So it is one of those vitamins that you just kind of try because you heard something about it. There was another one here too. I've heard lots of good things about it. Turmeric, and this is good for inflammation and stuff, and lots of people say a lot of good things about this product, so I want to try it out. But again, I'm not consistent for it, so I don't have a really good sense of feedback or evidence. But my other vitamins and minerals that I've been doing religiously since I was a little kid, right? It works for me. I'm the evidence in my own life that, never had a headache in my entire life. I've never had a bleeding nose, right? And it's not like I haven't had illnesses because I have had, I don't know if it was mumps or measles. I've had one of them because I was very young. My mom's gone now. She can't tell me which one it was. And I've had shingles. Oh my goodness, that was an experience. I got shingles. I get Charlie horses, right? And I do get heartburn every once in a while. But oh my goodness, people have diabetes and all kinds of ailments and diseases and stuff. And I am 64 now, so you would think that I would feel it, and I don't, right? And so I have to look into that. That is the evidence that what I've been doing, I have been doing something right. You know, um, it's it's one thing to hurt yourself and have boo boos and stuff, but those things that naturally as humans that become our downfall are signals that it's time to slow down. I am grateful that I haven't gotten those signals yet. But at the same time, right? If I had those signals, maybe I would slow down a little bit. Okay, anything else in here? Oh goodness, I have one more. Oh my goodness. It sounds like a gift card. You guys, my sister, right? She goes all out. She goes absolutely crazy. The most amazing, you know, when they do these celebrations, she does do it up big. My mother too, when she did like the Easter baskets and Christmas stockings, my mother was very creative that way. And we always used to just look forward to what she was going to do next in that creativity, because they were always pretty magnificent, right? Of course it all depended on the budget dad would give her, but at Christmas time there really wasn't much in the way of saying no. And my dad usually went all out. Oh, you guys. She gave me a grocery card. I've got groceries for the next month. Oh my goodness. I'm going to spend all of that on meat. Are you kidding me? Wow. Wow. I think that deserves another picture. I'd take another picture and send that to her. Oh my goodness, my sister. That's so amazing. And so grateful. So it's exactly right. This is going to tie me over for the next month. And this is going to tie me over. And here, we're just going to send that to her message. Pictures. Oh my goodness. Wow. Is that incredible? $100. That was an amazing stocking, you guys. That was awesome. I don't know if you guys in the States get the McCoffee. I know your McCoffee is different than what it is in Canada. We're talking flavor wise, but I think Canadians and the Americans have a little bit different taste in what their coffees, because when I was in the States and I go to like well, I had to go to Starbucks because I could never find a Tim Hortons in the States. It's not very popular in the States right now, probably because your taste in coffee is a little bit different, right? Here in Canada, right? Starbucks is popular, but for me, I would very rarely go to Starbucks for a coffee because I thought their coffee was too strong. And I think that's what it is about the Americans, is that they like strong coffee. Whereas in Canada, maybe our flavors in coffee are a little bit lighter in its roasting, because there is a big difference between the brands. Like, even though it says McCoffee, the coffee's going to be different here in Canada than it is in the States. I have to say, Canadians make very good coffee. Right? Canadians, our coffee is not grown here in Canada, right? It's grown in South America, right? But we do roast it here. I know when I lived in Vancouver, we lived right by a plant that made the, oh, was it the Edwards coffee? No, it wasn't. Hillbrand coffee. Was it Hillbrand coffee? Oh no, it was Blue Ribbon Coffee Factory in Vancouver. And we lived in that neighborhood, and the whole neighborhood always smelled so wonderful. So they would bring the beans in, but they would roast them in their factory and package them in their factory before they would send them to the supermarkets and stuff. I haven't had Blue Ribbon coffee in decades. I don't even sure if they make the Blue Ribbon coffee anymore. Hmm. Maybe just not here in Manitoba, but maybe still in BC they have the blue. I'm going to Google that later. I love Googling, you guys. I learned so much. I have a question. I go, I wonder. As soon as I say one, I wonder, then I go, oh, okay. Time to do a little bit of Googling in that. Wasn't that a great stocking, everybody? Wasn't that the most amazing stocking ever? Yeah. And a lot of this stuff in the stocking I get every year, the shampoo, conditioner, toothpaste, toothbrushes. Um, but oh yeah, she just messaged me back. She says, "Can you see that yet?" No, it's kind of clear. Oh, there you go. It says, "Glad you liked them," with my pictures of the coffee and the car. And that's going to help me out so much in buckling down, because this month we're getting a little bit of government money. I don't know about what goes on in the States, but to help a little bit with inflation, Also, they incentivize incent, incentivize people for working. So if you work, they give you little bonuses every few months. So it's like a little check that they send you. It's a few $100s, but a few $100s is a few $100s. So the plan is to pay my house bills off so I'm good, right? Until my tax returns and everything, that I don't have to worry about the roof over my head and my bills. I signed my new lease, you guys. I haven't got the papers yet. I don't know how much my rent is going to be. I hope they can keep it pretty low. I'm going on a lease. I had a temporary relief in my rent, so they knocked my rent down while I wasn't working, but I'm still not working. So we're going to see if we can get the whole lease under. But the thing is, we're going by last year's income. I made okay money last year, so it'll be a top. I don't know. It'll be a good surprise, a bad surprise. It'll be a surprise one way or another. I have no expectations. I do have optimistic ideas that will work out okay for me, right? At the very least, it can't go any higher than the income that I can bring into the house. So we'll know probably in the next week or two where I stand in that. Very grateful again that my life works out the way that it does, right? Everything is going to be okay, Cindy. I always have to say that to myself. Sometimes we lose sight and we lose faith, but we have to recognize that, everything works out. If things aren't going good in this moment, okay, things aren't going good in this moment. But in the next moment, it could be a different story, right? It could be a different story. Okay, let me have a sip of my coffee. Come down here in the comments. Oh, Nancy made it tonight. Oh, my goodness. Thank you, Nancy. I know you have a problem with coming in here online, that you'd much rather just do it on your phone, but I appreciate that on Christmas that you came in tonight. Thank you. Yeah, I was going to come in. I was going to wear my pajamas. I was going to have cocktails tonight. But, I had so much stuff dragging into my apartment that my brother-in-law or my nephew came in. We had a little conversation that turned into a big conversation, and yeah, make my cup of coffee, and then it was just time to do my live, and it is what it is, right? And it's all working out, and it's still Christmas, and we still get to hang out with each other. We can still say that we celebrated it, that we made it through. I just really love my new coffee mug. It would be even more amazing if there was a Charlie Brown Christmas tree in that. I used to be a Charlie Brown Christmas girl. When I first started moving into my apartments, I think I was probably 20 when I got my first apartment. When I was 18 years old, I was out of the house, maybe 19. I was out of the house, but I moved in as a nanny into somebody else's house. So I think I was around 20 or 21 years old when I got my first apartment. I was so excited. Another sense of freedom that I got. I did not like living in somebody else's house. Nothing felt like my own. And they tried really hard to make me feel comfortable, made me feel like home, but it just, right? Everything you touched belonged to somebody else. And it felt in the end almost like a bit of a prison to me, right? But I really, in the beginning, didn't have much. I remember my dad bought me a stereo for my first apartment. Total surprise. Absolutely loved it. It wasn't something that he could really afford. But then again, maybe he had a good poker game night or at the casino. But he bought me a beautiful stereo, and him and my mom bought me a couple of lamps for my apartment. But other than that, I didn't have anything, you know. I had a hope chest that I had been contributing to, but when I moved to Manitoba, I left that hope chest with a friend of mine because I had disappointed her because I was supposed to move into an apartment with her. But I was only 18. I was still mentally a child, and I wasn't ready to be left in a city all by myself, and my whole family was going to move to a different province. So I asked if I could come along too. But in getting that apartment, I remembered I was such a garbage picker. I furnished my first couple apartments with things that I found in alleys and in garbage pails and stuff like that. I was such a but I did so good. Now, why was I it had something to do with Christmas. It was a Christmas story I was going to tell about furnishing my apartments, and I totally got lost in that. So I trailed off somewheres in there. And so much for that Christmas story. But yeah, I did furnish all my apartments with things that I found in garbage bins or in back alleys and stuff. And I managed really good. I even remember getting insurance money for an old Middle Eastern carpet that I had found in a garbage pail, one of those big garbage bins, and I laid it out onto my living room floor. But when the apartment building flooded and the insurance people came in, they ended up giving me a lot of money for this really. I thought it was right. It was just something to cover my floor with, but I wasn't going to argue with them if they wanted to give me a few thousand for it. Right? But it's these things that in the moment you just have to trust that everything's going to be okay, that things are going to come across your path when you need them. And sometimes you don't even know what you need until the need is taken care of, right? You can say, I need this, and I need this, but you don't think of in the moment of how that's going to arrive. And when it arrives, you go, oh my goodness, I didn't even think of that. And then there it is, the exact thing that you need in the moment, right? Mm. Okay, coming down to comments. Oh, it says, just thought I would stop in law. I usually watch from my feed page because of the ads. um, it would be nice if Christmas didn't go from Halloween to December 25th. There's too much of it. I'd like to see it celebrated for around a week. I get what you're saying there, but it is unavoidable, isn't it? Life is one great big marketing campaign, right? I get you. I remember going into the store the day after Halloween, and the Halloween stuff was in shopping carts at 50% off. And all those shelves were already being stocked with Christmas decorations and Christmas products and presents and advertising. And you're right, but that's the world that we live in, and it's up to us and our own choices to decide what we're going to pay attention to or not. But I don't think we're ever going to stop them from getting Christmas out right away. Just be grateful if we've got, right? What are we thinking to see? You go into the stores now, they're already going to have the Valentine's Day stuff out, the Patrick's Day, right? All those little holidays that come in during the winter time, and they'll just beef it up with that stuff. But there's nothing like Christmas. And if they thought they could get away with October 1st, starting to get those shelves full of Christmas, they would. But they can't because those shelves are full of Halloween. And it is the greedy grab, right? The greedy grab is in it's a lobster fisherman because they're so constricted by limitations of law and stuff that they only have small spans of time to get out there and get as many lobster as they can. So if they get 2 weeks in the fall and 2 weeks in the spring, then they go out there and they go to town. They'll work 24/7, and they'll just greedy grab all the lobster that they can. So it is the same kind of idea with Halloween and Christmas. Halloween, you only have that month, right? Because there's Thanksgiving before that. So you don't really get much time to do that Halloween advertising. They kind of do overlap the Halloween and the Thanksgiving, the two of them, which they shouldn't, but they do. And it is a big greedy grab. How much can we get for Halloween, and how much money can we bring in at Christmas time? And because they only have that short span in order to do it, and then they have to wait a little bit to get a few of those little holidays, like I said, St. Patrick's Day and Valentine's Day, and then right then they go to town again in the advertising and the push with the Easter. Right? And it's these holidays that are supposed to have emotional and religious and spiritual connotations to them, but we're not paying attention to that. We're paying attention to the cell, right? Or we're avoiding the cell, right? We're dodging the cells. Oh, I'll think about that. Want to try free sample? Sure. Okay, it's only $15.95 a bag. How many bags do you want? Or here's a $2 off coupon. Let me show you where the coffee is. Yeah. But those are the demo people too. It's all about the sale, right? I love the Charlie Browns. When I was a kid for Christmas, the Charlie Browns and Rudolph the Red-Nosed. I just liked all the Christmas ones, but Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer with all the Christmas songs and stuff, I really loved that. And the Christmas Story with the gun, right? The little kid with the gun, love that. I haven't seen that. Oh, I haven't seen it for years, right? Only because I don't watch TV. I'm sure I can find it online. I'm sure YouTube has got it free with ads, for a Christmas Story. I could probably find it. But I think if I was going to watch a Christmas movie today, I'd probably watch maybe Miracle on 34th Street. It's another favorite one that I haven't seen for a very long time. I don't watch movies anymore. I really am into documentaries. I'm watching some of the most amazing, interesting documentaries, especially when some of these content creators, they're not the only one in their interest fields. So they compete with each other. These are the armchair philosophers, the armchair historians and stuff. So when there's a new discovery or something's invented, right? That they compete with each other, and you can just imagine, content week is something big. It's the same thing with the news, right? A news event happen, and then the next thing you know, there are documentaries and television shows and interviews all based on that same subject, right? But I do enjoy documentaries. Documentaries are something I've always enjoyed. It was something that I enjoyed because it was something I could do with my dad, because my dad loved documentaries. And lots of times, it they would everybody would do something else, right? I was the only one besides my dad who liked the documentaries. And so it was either cleaning or going for a walk or go bake something. And everybody would just kind of disperse and do their own thing. And it was time for me just to spend some quality time with my dad. We didn't even have to say anything. We would just sit together and watch what was ever going on in the program. Lots of time. It was Manual Life. I don't know if you guys remember. It was a documentary. It was a show that was every week. And it was Manual Life Insurance. And it was like Wildlife. Wild Kingdom. Was that what it was called? Wild Kingdom. But we used to watch that all the time, but everybody else would be absolutely bored with it. But we got to really enjoy documentaries on all different kinds of subjects that we didn't understand or have any information, and then, just to decide for ourselves what we found was interesting or something new to pursue, right? Or just something that was just kind of a tidbit and then on to something else, right? Um, I have a Peanuts Jubilee book on all the years from the early years. You love it. Oh, okay. When you said that, it kind of reminded me because I used to collect the Mad magazines. I don't know if you guys remember those. I'm not even sure if they still make Mad magazines, but I used to really like the Mad magazines, and I would collect those. Yeah, all the Charlie Brown holiday, but especially Charlie Brown Christmas. Oh, but the pumpkin, right? Oh my goodness. Yeah, Charlie Brown had some good holiday ones. Love the movie A Christmas Story. Watch it every year. I love the Christmas Story. It's my favorite one. I could never get bored by it. But there were other favorite Christmas movies that I think if I were to have a choice to sit down because I've seen the Christmas Story so many times, it would be nice to watch it again. There are other Christmas movies I probably have not seen since I was a teenager, and I think I would probably like to see the black and white Maureen O'Hara, Miracle on 34th Street. I think I would want to see that one first or second, and then another uh, Christmas Christmas movie. Well, probably Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, just because, I love the island of misfit toys, right? It was something I was very relatable to, right? And I love, like I said, the singing and my little Colonel Sanders, which was a famous actor at a time. I'm trying to think who the actor was. He did, I think, a lot of I'm trying to think, did he do I'm trying to think Grand Old Opry or something? I can't remember. Uh oh, Poseidon Adventure. Oh my goodness, don't get me started on that one, Andrew. Love that movie, Poseidon Adventure. That one was Shelley Winters. Yeah, love that. Love that movie. I didn't know it was a Christmas movie, but there are movies that do come out at Christmas and different holidays, right? I know Gone with the Wind usually comes out at Easter time. You get Gone with the Wind. At Christmas time, you get The Wizard of Oz. You get what other movies come out at Christmas? Well, obviously, all those Christmas movies. Ten Commandments come out at Easter time too. Ben Hur comes out at Easter time, but Ben Hur comes out at Christmas time too. Ben Hur. I haven't seen Ben Hur in a long time too. I bet you I would like it more now that I have a better understanding of the characters in the movie. Not saying like the actors and stuff, but the actual storyline with the different pharaohs and the reasoning and how everything and why everything happened in that. Yeah, I bet you I would have a better understanding of it. I'd probably enjoy it a whole lot more too. Um, yeah, I never saw the Poseidon Adventure as a novel. I'm not sure if I would have read it. Once I saw the movie, I don't think I wanted to read the book. But if I read the book first, I would want to see I would want to see the movie just to see how close it came to the imagination I put into the book because we always use our own mind's eye when read a book, we can visually see the characters and their personalities. And so we have a vision of how each character in that book is supposed to look at, like, or act or feel and stuff. We have that connection with them. But when you read the book and then you watch the movie, you're always disappointed because the movie never represents what you had in your mind's eye. I remember Outlander. Oh my goodness, when the Outlander series came in books, I was so immersed in them. I think I did there was a couple of series because they did a series on the two main characters, but then they had they had another series of their offsprings, and then they did another series in before she touched the stone and went back in time. And I read those books, but when it became a television series, I only watched one or two, and I wasn't interested because I knew the storyline, and I recognized the swaying from the storyline. And even though the characters weren't too far off of what my imagination was, uh, in what it was about, it it didn't give me the same feeling, so I never carried on. I never got into that television series. And I also think at that time that series was coming out was just at that time when I was saying, okay, that's it for television. I'm done with television. So maybe I might have gotten into the series a little bit more than I did if I wasn't so anxious out of getting out of television altogether. But if I read a book, I would want to see the movie. I would want to see the movie, but only as the critique, what they got wrong, what they got right, to see how close I was in my imagination compared. But remembering that even in making a movie, that person making the movie is using their imagination. They're not using the imagination from the book. They're using their own imagination because each one of us is going to read a book and take it differently, right? Which is the way it's supposed to be. That's why we let ourselves get lost in books, right? Or used to get lost in books. We're going to lose books, you guys. We're not going to be reading books. I think, I think in another 20 years, everything is going to be online. It'll be, those people who collect books, right? Andrew will have a nice little library going on in his apartment, but it won't be the norm. I suspect maybe even 1,000 years from now, 10,000, 100,000 years from now, the need for speaking is probably going to disappear too. That if we lost language, just like we lost calligraphy, right, Andrew? That we lost the art and the love and the passion for actually writing. Now we all have Grammarly and spelling error in order to correct our mistakes, that we can write a book even by just asking I want to write a book. This is my storyline. And then within minutes or an hour, have an entire maybe bestseller written, right? And that is, I think, an unkindness, I think, to the world, because I believe a lot of people get a lot out of reading. They get a lot out of, right, like I said, the imagination of being able to create visuals and emotional connections to something that's coming from somebody else's mind and description. I think that's pretty cool, but I think it's also possibly a lost art, that, like, writing is, that possibly, you know, our ability to write, if you don't use it, you lose it, right? And maybe the voice will be one of those lost art forms, right? That one of those useless organs that we don't use anymore because we've we've found easier, faster, more efficient ways to get a message across. You never know, but without that imagination, we wouldn't be able to recognize the differences, the changes, the course corrections, the possibilities, right? Of what we're creating, even in our own lives, let alone, right, being the example for the next generation and all their traditions. But when I came in today and I was saying, I was on the elevator and I was talking to somebody about traditions and stuff. I says, "Oh, I wish we could lose that tradition of mashed carrots and turnips because I hate mashed carrots and turnips." She goes, "Oh my goodness, I haven't heard of anybody talk about mashed carrots and turnips since I was a kid. I love mashed carrots and turnips. I'll trade you traditions." I says, "You've got it, right?" But each one of us has that choice into carrying on a tradition into the next generation or just to let it die off and create something new for ourselves and then be able to be that example to your children that they can decide for themselves what traditions to keep and what to put aside. I hope my sister never cancels Christmas stocking tradition on us. Oh my goodness, my Christmas stocking was absolutely amazing. The idea that you're not getting a present that you appreciate. You're going to get a toaster if you don't give me your Christmas list. And only had one thing on my Christmas list this year. I said, I need a new tent. She said, "Well, send me a link," right? And I got my tent, you guys. I am super happy for that. And I think it's a very efficient tent, a perfect tent for me to have on my trips. Something nice and easy that I'll be able to manage on my own without much difficulties well into my 80s if I have to. But we'll hope, right? We expect, we'll be optimistic by the time I am 70. I'm putting a time limit on this. I will have my RV. I will have that life of living on the road and living the life that I would like to live, right? In the moment, I'm living vicariously through my dreams and my visions of what I would like to have and the expertise of the people out there who know how to get it done. Okay. Uh, oh, Eugene made it in tonight. Oh my goodness. Hello, Eugene. Yeah, I haven't read a book in a long time. I last one I read, I was reading the book on my trip in September was the book that Andrew gave me. He sent me this book right here, Dakota, and it was really interesting. And the thing is, this woman had a description of the prairies. When we talk about imagination when you're writing and stuff, to have that ability to drum up those visuals and those emotions in an experience that somebody in a different part of the country or the different part of the world might be able to vicariously experience through the writer. That is talent, and this woman was very talented because she described the life on the prairies, that slow, uneventful, unstressful, but at the same time hardworking and hard, right? It could be a very hard life living on the prairies. It really can. And it takes a certain person to do that. But it takes a certain person to have that gift of being able to express it to others so that they can get those same feelings too. So I really enjoyed this book, but I haven't read a lot of books before this. The book, um, yeah, there's a couple of books that I've meant to read, but unless they are mindset or working in emotions where I'm actually looking up topics and stuff, I haven't been able to get into a true novel in quite a while in actuality. And I have a few novels here that I do want to get into. I tried to read some Dostoevsky. I can't even pronounce his name. I think he's probably still a little bit heavy for what I want to go into. I've been really hanging out quite a bit with Carl Jung and some of his psychology ideas and some of these um, uh, theories in what he was experiencing and what he was experimenting with in his interviews and in his research, right? And I'm finding it very, very interesting. I haven't let it go yet. It's still being suggested to me. Carl Jung is still coming across my path every day, and I'm assuming it will slow down at some point. But it's really interesting because, 6 months ago, because every once in a while, his content comes across my path, and, I've tried to take a little bit in, but it bored me to death. It was uninteresting. And to tell you the truth, it really wasn't understandable. It just a little bit more on the flaky side to me, right? Being a realist, I felt that he was just going way too deep. Not to say he was wrong in anything that he was trying to get across, but that he got lost in what he wanted to do because he was going so deep into it. And that's because, right, you got to remind yourself that you are human. And he had very human aspects about himself, like his family and how he lived his life and how he brought up his family and his household. He was very specific that way, but because he was so immersed into his work, that he went too deep and he ended up causing himself some issues in that. Whatever you love, right? We have to remember that there is a limit to that too, right? You can OD on something too good as easily as you can OD on something that's not good for you. And that's the truth. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Carl Jung, I've been finding him and easy to digest now. When I first started, not a chance. I couldn't understand any of it. I didn't even want to try. It was boring. It was heavy. It was uninteresting. It was kind of really off the direction that I wanted to go in. But slowly, as you delve into emotions, you go, you can't just sit in the good emotions. You have to be able to sit in the heavy. You have to be able to sit in the broken. You have to sit in what you think is unresolvable, because if you can't, then it truly is unresolvable. But if you can, right, you can experience where you got it wrong, where you made your missteps, or where somebody else made their missteps, and you figure it out and you can learn to move past it. But in doing that, it only takes you to the next lesson. And if you can say, okay, no more lessons, no more Carl Jung for the next 6 months, but most people don't. Once they got a taste of it, they want more and more and more and more. I am so grateful that I am multi interested in different aspects of thought leaderships and working in emotions, that I look at people who work in emotions, and it's just not psychologists, right? But everyday people that hit it right, that find something that works for them. And when I find that, I utilize it, I try it out. If it works for me, I'll share it with you guys, right? Yeah. Oh my goodness, I cannot believe what an amazing Christmas stocking I got. if it wasn't so late in the evening, I would have fruit cake for dessert. But this will sit in my gut, and I will have indigestion like nothing tomorrow, and upset stomach like nothing tomorrow if I even have one piece of it. So it can stay sealed in its package and maybe tomorrow afternoon so that it has a long span of the course of the day to digest. Maybe I'll have, right, a little piece of fruit cake with some butter on it. That would be absolutely lovely. For Christmas, is everybody just having a quiet Christmas with themselves this year, or is anybody going off and doing some little bit holiday celebrating with loved ones or friends? Are you going on any little trips maybe, or going for a drive? There was a span, you guys, when I had my car, every year I did a Christmas drive. I don't know if I shared those Christmas drives on my YouTube channel. Maybe I didn't because I was an urban explorer, so I had to have abandoned houses at the time. But every Christmas, I would get into that's why I don't do anything on Christmas Day. It's because I used to pack a lunch, get in my car, and I would go for a drive. I've told this story once before, but maybe it's a good way to end the Christmas Eve live and tell you about the time when I was out urban exploring. It was one of the coldest days that winter. We had hit a record. But it was Christmas Day, and I always go for my drive on Christmas Day. Night before, I made my egg salad sandwich. I always had egg salad sandwiches on Christmas Day for my drives. I make myself a nice little picnic lunch, and I would get in my car and I'd have my, right, you have to have your safety supplies just in case you do break down. You have a blanket and your snow pants and everything that you need, right? And I took off, and I remember I drove out around Brandon Way, which is about 4 hours away from here. It's the second largest city in Manitoba, but only by a fraction. Like, they maybe have 50,000 people in that city in comparison to what we have, which I don't know, but it's not even like a quarter of what Winnipeg has. And so I went out driving in this area because I knew there were some abandons that I wanted to check out. And wintertime, right? If you have your snowshoes, I always had snowshoes, and as long as you have your snowshoes, you can get out into the fields and get into these buildings. And these buildings are a little bit safer in the wintertime. This is the way I felt because the moisture in the boards would freeze solid. So it would give you some extra strength in the construction of these buildings that were probably not very well. Well, they were probably constructed well when they were built, but because they were abandoned houses, most of them didn't have floors or anything. But this one Christmas, I went out there and I was driving, and I got onto this road, and oh my goodness, I drove on this road for it was over an hour. Didn't see a farm, didn't see a building, lots of farm fields, right? But I also knew these big farming companies like Patterson and Sons. They buy the abandoned farms and they take the buildings down, or they let the trees grow around the buildings, and they just utilize the fields for crops, and those crops feed the whole country, and then they get them on ships and planes, and they distribute that grain all over the world. And I knew that, right? So I figured that's what I had gotten myself onto, a road that was all Patterson and Son leasing properties, just farmland. I didn't know how far this farmland went, but there was no room. It was the middle of winter, number one. I could tell that this road was not being plowed because it was getting deeper and deeper, and there weren't any car tire marks on the road. I had no way to turn around on the road because the road was not wide enough. And I couldn't stop because if I had stopped in the road, my car wheels would have spun out and I would have been trapped there. So I had to keep driving forward because there was no, I can't drive backwards, right? Not in the hour that I had already been driving, maybe 20 minutes in, I might have taken a chance knowing that I could just walk 20 minutes while driving. It would probably been a couple of hours. Drive to the highway. I would have made it to the highway and I would have called. I always made sure I had CAA, which is the towing company. You have to. In Manitoba, you have to have these kind of services because, if something happens to you, at 40 below zero, you need to be able to get yourself out of that. And the best way was just to phone this company and, right, you pay them $12 a month or whatever it was. It was very inexpensive. And then if you needed tow, if you needed a boost on your battery, they would come out. If you needed your tire change, they would come out and change your tire, no matter where you were in the province. And I use those services all the time. All the time. Sometimes I go driving right into a farm field and get stuck in a farm field. These tow trucks, how did you get out there? And they would give me the tow and I would have to walk back out to my car because they wouldn't even come into the field because they would get stuck too and they would, right, pull me out again. But this one time I had to keep driving. And then finally I could see a building. I was so grateful. Oh, I was so scared. It was starting to get dark, and I was making these plans of what am I going to do if I get stuck or I run out of gas? What am I going to do? Like I knew something was going to happen. I didn't know what, but I did get stuck right before I came to that house because I recognized that I wasn't on a road. I'd been driving an hour down somebody's driveway. Yes, driveways go that long. If you're the only farm on that road, that's your driveway. And I freaked out because I was driving into somebody's property. And in that instinct and in that moment, I did a tried to do a U-turn in that on that road. Immediately I got stuck. 40 below zero. It's getting dark. I got out of the car, tried to shovel myself out, no use. So I decided I was going to go walk down to that farmhouse and just pray. I couldn't see any lights on or anything, but I just prayed there was somebody there. If nobody was there, I could see there was cows, right? I would go stay in a barn or something overnight, right? And just stay safe. And so I went down there. I knocked on the door. Nobody came to the door. I went back to the car, bawling my eyes out, trying to shovel the snow. I'm out urban exploring, looking for abandoned houses. It's getting dark. And then I said, okay, Cindy, just wait until it gets dark. Sit in the car, wait until it gets dark. And when you see a light, because once you look through the bushes, when it's dark, you'll see lights on a building or something. There's got to be a farmhouse or something. You'll be able to see the light when it gets dark. And then you got your snowshoes. These are my ideas. I would have frozen to death by morning. I would have been gone. But then I said, there were two dogs that kept running up the road to me, right? And I says, well, if those dogs belong to that house, maybe somebody does live there because I was thinking it was an abandoned house is what I was thinking. But there were cows, right? But again, Patterson Farms, maybe they got cows and they're not using the house, but they're using the barns for the cows. But anyway, I went back to the house and I knocked on the door and the door opened. I burst into tears, scared the poop out of oh my goodness, she must have been 80 years old. Her husband must have been 90 years old. Come in. Got me into their house, trying to feed me, trying to calm me down because I'm bawling my eyes out. He says, don't worry, we'll go to the barn and we'll get the tractor and we'll get your car out. And we spent about an hour and a half in the dark trying to I really did a job on it, getting my car out. It was fun. I got to ride in a big, like this tractor was one of those industrial ones, like the snow plows. It was huge. He got me. He must have been 90 years old. I did all the heavy manual work, right? I just let him tell me what to do. Finally, we got my car out of that bank, turned it around. He says, you got to spend the night at my house. I says, no. He says, I got to try and get back to Winnipeg, he says. I said, yeah. I says, I'm out on a country drive. And I says, I won't stop. I'm just going to stay on the road. He says, I have a party line, phone. If you have any issues, I will drive the tractor to the highway and come and find you. If I don't hear from you, everything's okay, but give me a call otherwise. Right. And I said, I'll do that. And I didn't stop. I stayed in my own kind of wheel line in that snow, got myself to the highway, and I think I got home like 1 o'clock in the morning or something. And that was the last time I ever went out on the back roads in the winter until I decided I was going to do my fort. If you haven't seen those videos, right? It's those videos, my bushcraft videos, you'll find them on my main channel, and you'll find them there's all kinds of playlists there, but this playlist was called Surviving Cindy. Really, it was surviving my brother-in-law Ray. But it was a good title and it was fun, and in the end it was pretty much survival because I did get stuck in a snowstorm. I don't really often, it takes a lot for me to learn from. It's a lot easier now than it used to be. Very stubborn and very adventurous. Been being adventurous, sometimes we don't pay attention for our own safety and our own well-being. I learned my lesson that day. 40 below zero. Oh my goodness. And I was down somebody's driveway that I had driven down for, it was well over an hour. It was probably more than an hour and a half. Just I was very lucky to have come across that farm that I didn't maybe 10 miles before that, right? Try and do that turn around, because I wouldn't have kept going forward to see if I could find a farm, because I hadn't seen a farm yet. I would have turned around and tried to have gotten back to the highway, and for sure I wouldn't have gotten back until morning, right? I was already an hour down that side road. Yeah, I'll never forget that. And that was, yeah, right in the beginning of those urban exploring trips that I would do, right? But they were fun. I still considered them adventures and good stories and great memories, right? When I'm 90 years old and sitting in my rocking chair, and I could look back and say, "Oh, Cindy, you're such an idiot. I don't know how you survived some of those escapades, but you did." Okay, you guys, let's tie it up for Christmas. You guys, it's Christmas time now. I'm going to have a Christmas treat. I'm going to go past my 8 o'clock tonight and have a little something. I don't know. Maybe I'll make myself just a fried egg sandwich or something. I don't actually, maybe I won't maybe I'll just make myself one of those nice cups of coffee tonight. Yeah, I'm going to open a fresh bag of coffee, make myself a nice cup of coffee as a nice snack. And you know what? I'm going to stick to my rule of no eating after 8 o'clock tonight, right? And just look forward to my fruitcake tomorrow morning, you guys. I love the fruitcake. Let's just come down and see all the Merry Christmases and Happy New Year's, everybody. I love to write, but my handwriting has broken down somewhat as I've gotten older. Maybe it's just evolved. I think handwriting tells a person about doing, tells a lot about the person who's doing the writing. Yeah, Andrew, your handwriting is absolutely stunning, just beautiful. That's what amazes me about your handwriting, that it is so beautiful. Actually, I have a chicken in my freezer that I have to take downstairs, and I'm going to leave it on the bench with some potatoes and a can of vegetables. I'll make a little chicken hamper box for somebody who doesn't have a Christmas dinner for tomorrow. I'm going to take that. I'm going to put it down on the bench tonight. But when I'm down there, I'm going to go to the mailbox because I didn't check the mailbox today, Andrew. And you said that you sent me a Christmas card. So that would be kind of nice if there's a Christmas card in the mailbox for me tonight on Christmas Eve, right? I totally forgot that, Andrew. I'll go down. I'll go down tonight. Nancy told me that her Christmas card came. So I'm happy that it got there before Christmas. I really tried to get the Christmas cards out so that everybody would have them before Christmas. Um, Nancy says, wish I could, but I don't have a working wheelchair to get anywhere. And because of the cuts to the Medicaid, I won't be able to get another chair. Well, let's hope that that changes a little bit. I know that they're changing the disability system a little bit, and I was hoping that it might work out a little bit better for you, Nancy. Uh, I have my groceries delivered to me, and I have a small fridge, cooking equipment in my room, and I live on my bed in my room. I couldn't live in my bed. I wake up in the morning, I go to the washroom, I go back to my bed, and I'm naked, and I'm done until it's time to go to bed at 11 or 12 o'clock at night. I don't normally stay up past midnight anymore, and I've been really enjoying it. But it is hard that it's pitch black when my alarm goes off in the morning. So usually I have been staying in bed for an extra half an hour until it starts to lighten up. It's still dark outside, but it lightens up a little bit, and then I get up. But yeah, I usually my bed is made within 5 minutes of me getting out of bed in the morning. Yeah, I'm not a napper. I'm not a napper in any way. But then again, like you, how you like to sit in your bed and do your things, I like to sit at my desk and do things. I live at my desk. Okay. But that's great that you get to have your groceries delivered. Um, Eugene, Merry Christmas. I haven't read Young, but I know a little bit about his work. I tried Dostoevsky's, the brothers, yeah, Karmanov, yeah, that's the one I tried to read, but gave up after 200. Oh, you made it further in than I did. Lots of characters and minor side stories, but no plot that I could see. What about that little book that I sent you, Andrew? That little German book. Did you get to spend an afternoon reading that one? I know it was almost like a what do you call that? A high school reader or a grade school reader, but I thought it was such a great story and it had such good morals to it. I thought maybe you might enjoy, but I never heard back from that one or what you thought of that one. Um Everybody, Merry Christmas. Oh, look at all the Merry Christmases to everybody. Oh my goodness. It's Christmas, you guys. Merry Christmas to you all. Merry Christmas to the ones that you love, the ones that you take care of, the ones who take care of you, right? Merry Christmas. Oh my goodness. Aw. You will. You'll see. People love you, Nancy. Okay, you guys. Merry Christmas to you all. I'm going to call it a night. Make myself a cup of coffee with my fresh bag of McDonald's coffee. Oh, so excited. If you guys want to chit chat tomorrow, I will be back tomorrow. Um, in my regular show. I was thinking maybe I could take the day off, but you guys know I'm not that person. I'm just gonna show up anyway. So if you guys want to come in and hang out tomorrow night, I'll be in I'll be in. It might not be for very long, but I'll definitely be in 9 p.m. Central. You guys, Merry Christmas. And am I going to see you next year or am I going to see you on New Year's Eve? We'll see. You guys have a great night.